Hey guys, my name is Jeanette Estrada, and I'm going to be talking about the stereotypes and gender norms in wear. So as we know, clothing can be used for various reasons, whether that's for protection, whether it's your belief, cultural, or simply just aesthetic. But over the course of the years, we found that clothing has been very heavily gendered, especially in the 20th century. Part of that, I'd like to believe, has to do with what we were taught as children. And there's Dr. Jo Poletti, who is author of The Pink and Blue, Telling the Boys from Girls in America, where she talks about how children have the opportunity to use clothing as a different personality. They don't have to necessarily be the same thing every single day, which I personally identify with myself. Growing up, I didn't necessarily have girl or feminine figures around me besides my mother. I have 3 brothers, and to fit in, I like to wear their clothes. I liked the skater outfits. I liked the feeling of being free, and I liked expressing myself in different ways, which is why I chose to be a tomboy as a little girl. But I didn't necessarily understand what clothing would later on drag in terms of judgment placed by society. Shortly after, I was often, you could say, misunderstood. People started to place a title on me calling me a lesbian, which I did not find very nice. But what Dr. Jo talks about is she likes to question, when did we decide pink was for girls and blue was for boys? Clothing, in my opinion, should be something that allows you to feel comfortable. It's not about what your culture is, or maybe sometimes I myself am a Latina, so sometimes femininity is very important within our culture. But I think people have to understand that we don't have to look a certain way to be socially accepted by others. I think another important thing that we must be conscious of is the gender fluidity, especially during the 20th century. We see a lot of fashion retailers using feminine pieces of clothing and transverging it into men clothing, which is absolutely fine. We have artists like Bad Bunny who paints his nails just for the simple pleasure of himself. This doesn't mean anything. This doesn't imply anything. As for myself, if you're comfortable with your sexuality, there really should be no reason why judgment is a factor. And I think a lot of people have to understand that different is always going to be there. Different is something that sets you apart from everyone else, which is why nobody should feel discouraged or feel frowned upon for looking the way they are. Clothing is just another outlet of expression.